Hi, welcome everybody. So I'm Tony Latimer. I'm an executive coach, and I am here with my good friend Soleira Green, who is also a coach. And backstory, we're going to be talking a little bit about breakthroughs and the use of energy for breakthrough in coaching. And Soleira, many years ago, was actually the person that first taught me how to get started on the path to knowing what energy is and how to use it. Soleira, you remember those days when I knew nothing?
You knew lots, but energy was a bit of an opener at the time.
It was,
That was a long time ago. It was like in the early 2000s kind of thing. But what we were doing then, and what we continue to do, you and I and others like us, is create new openings, new breakthroughs in the coaching and leadership fields and other fields as well. And I think that a lot of people would listen to, energy, what's that got to do with it? But it's really, I think you have to use that skill, whatever one wants to call it, to uplift, to elevate, to take things to new levels, to create breakthroughs, to be innovational, to, open doors that wouldn't normally open easily. And even in breakthrough coaching is you can take someone through into a breakthrough really quickly.
Yes. And it was interesting. I was talking to one of the classes just last week when we were explaining to them the profitable leadership frameworks and how to use those as a coach when you're coaching leaders, managers, and stuff. And the link I took was, the piece where we talk about coaching and helping somebody solve their own problems. You're connecting previously unconnected data in the brain.
Yeah.
And I have never forgotten, this would be about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was running leadership workshops in India for a big multinational tech company. And we took a break. And in the morning, I've been talking about how to get people to think. And as I always did, I was very carefully saying, so for the purposes of this workshop, you can only help people connect data that's already in their brain. If there's something they don't know, they don't know. And then we took the coffee break, and as the gentlemen in the room tend to do, we went to this other little room where you end up standing in a row facing the wall for a few minutes. And conversations sometimes happen, but nobody kind of makes eye contact. And we were standing there, and then the person on my right said, I notice you said, for the purposes of this workshop. And I said, yes, I did. And he said, so you do understand then? And I said, yes, I do. And we went back into the room. He got there first. He'd obviously said something to the others, and the workshop just went to a whole new level.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Because one of the upsides of working in that part of the world is that the vast majority of people, when you talk about the energetic connection of everything in the universe, they go like, yeah, we know. Yeah. That's normal.
Yeah.
And that to me that was the first time I think they said, well, can we talk about this more? Yeah. And I said, yeah, sure, let's go. And we actually went there, and taking that concept of you problem solve by helping somebody connect previously unconnected data in their brain. Once you then accept that everything is connected, because I'm energy in one form, you're energy in another form, and the space between us is just energy in another form.
Yes.
Therefore, logically, everything is out there and accessible.
Yes. And it's for me, I'm going to call it quantum because I talk about the quantum a lot. So quantum field. So when you're using just the brain, and I think that's what you're pointing to, when you're using just the brain and what you know and what you're trained to do and the tips and techniques and the processes, you can get certain definite outcomes. But when you expand. So you're now using, let's call it the quantum field, or whatever. People can give it all kinds of different terms, but you now have a whole availability of mastery almost. It's a spontaneous kind of mastery that comes from what I call the quantum field. So in the quantum field sits ideas, innovation, possibilities, things that have never been before. It's where you get real innovational, creational thinking from. And it's where, as a coach, you know, when somebody's coming to you with a real challenge and you think, one would think to themselves, whoa, how am I going to do this? Well, instead of clicking back into all the things you know, you connect with them, almost, I call it being to being, greater to greater, more to more, you could say. And then you spontaneously know what to say, what to do. But even more than knowing what to say and do, you have an energetic capacity to be with them, to source grace, to source movement, to source breakthroughs, to source the possibility of them coming out with an outcome that's totally unprecedented.
Yes.
And that to me is what's really exciting about what we're calling energy coaching.
Absolutely. And I've actually used that same terminology when I'm explaining it to coaches. I always say, you know, coaching can happen at two levels: Newtonian physics and quantum physics.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff that is defined by the professional bodies is Newtonian physics.
Yes. Yeah.
They use a little bit of the language, but top end use of Newtonian physics, your physical senses, will get you over the bar to what most of them tag as mastery. Yeah. And when I'm explaining it to them, I say, you know, think of it like martial arts.
Yeah.
Once you get over the bar to mastery, now you know what you're doing. Then how many degrees of mastery there are, and the degrees of mastery are the extent to which you're able to use energy.
Yeah, I agree. I guess I think there's mastery, which is a disciplined, learned approach to you do it and you do it and you do it until you get it finessed to a really a skillful level. But that's everything you've been taught, everything you already know to do. This level of quantum mastery, let's call it that just for fun, or the simplicity of mastery is what you call it when you're leading your coach training. The simplicity of mastery at the quantum level is about being surprised every single time. Yes. You know, you're surprised, they're surprised. But here's the other thing that I've found about doing this. They end up with incredible breakthroughs, wonderful energy, feeling fabulous, and kind of resolved and understood where they're going, real insights into their whole lives and what they're up to. But you, as the coach, feel fantastic, not just because of their outcomes, but because you're in the flow of this brilliant energy at the same time. It's like, I'm going to say you raise the vibrational frequency in which you do the whole session. So one of the pieces of coaching is about the client has all the answers within and meet the client where they're at. Those are a couple of things they would say, right? But in quantum or, you know, energetic coaching, you don't do this, you do this. Yes. You've sourced a space in which they immediately find themselves in which there's energy flowing, in which there's insights growing, in which there's movement.
Yes, you're going beyond meeting the client where they're at. You go meet them where they're at and then elevate them to where they need to be.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's like inviting them into this beautiful space, which has grace in it, which has breakthrough in it, which has, you know, insights, innovation, genius, And the other thing that I would say about that is it's not just the sourcing of the space and the raising of the vibrational frequency, but it's also a witnessing of who they are at levels they may not even know they are yet. It's the seeing of them beyond their current view of themselves. And I think that that is an energetic piece of mastery. And to me, it's one of the most important pieces of mastery, is that ability to witness people. When I am moved to tears in awe of who someone is, they move instantly, even without words, to that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just say, even just because I do get into conversations sometimes, and people comment on the fact that when they interact with you, they feel something.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the benefits that as practitioners, if we're doing this all the time, we get to be in that space a lot.
Yeah.
So being in that space and being like that and having that vibrational frequency going on,
yeah,
just impacts everybody.
Yeah. I love that you call it the simplicity of mastery. And it's really the simplicity of quantum mastery or breakthrough mastery is what you're really talking about, isn't it? It's that it's another level of not learned, as we talked about. It's breakthrough possibilities in every time you work with someone as a coach. It's an extraordinary way it's a pure, delightful way to live as well, but it's a wonderful way to coach.
Yes. And it's been really interesting just this last year, starting to try and teach it to people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many years since you taught it to me, and I use it, but I've never actually tried to teach it to anybody else before. And that's been a whole new fun thing to play with.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I discovered with there's almost like 3 levels. First level is you just learn to feel the energy, which helps you then start to pick up signals, the incoming data better.
Yes.
Second level is to be able to connect to people and things with the energy.
Yeah.
And then the third level is when you can then move the energy so that you help them go places.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's beautifully put. Yeah. Because when you were talking about receiving the energy is the first piece you talked about, there's empathy, which is, kind of feeling where someone's at the level of where they're at energetically. But we're not really talking about that. Because empathy is a doorway to something far more awesome. It's the ability to operate field to field with a person, as energy field to energy field, as opposed to person to person or known to known. Here's who you are, here's who I am. But when you're operating field to field, you're looking at their huge levels of their potential, what they can become, their greater purpose, not just from what they already know, but from the creation of who they are as a possibility in this world and in this lifetime. It's really exciting to do that. Now, people might say, well, what do you mean field to field? Well, so if we just gave them a demonstration, Tony, so if you and I connect person to person, so there's Tony, there's me, we're, we've got about this much, right? Like, even though we're across other sides of the world, but if we go field to field, oh yeah, you can feel it. I hope you can anybody who's watching can see it, but it's like there's an expansion. It's like we both just got larger and our fields are engaging in this beautiful dance almost. I don't know, how would you describe that, what we just did?
Yes. No, words, difficult. One of the problems is there isn't a language for what we do, which is why people sometimes use odd languages for it.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way of explaining it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And different people can relate to different explanations. I know one of the things I teach coaches when they talk about the problem of, they're sitting down having a coaching session and the person gets upset and cries. And we go, well, no, they're not upset. And we don't call it crying. What's happening is they are having a physical manifestation of the emotional content of the neural pathway they're currently accessing.
And they may
So
also be having a breakthrough.
that's next level, right?
Yeah.
So once you teach them that, and they go like, oh, I get it. So sometimes the physical manifestation of the emotional content of that neural pathway is saline liquid coming from the eye ducts. Yes. And the minute they access a different neural pathway, that reaction goes away. So they weren't upset. It was just a physical manifestation.
Yeah.
The one way I've found, once people accept that, one way of getting them to the realization of the energetic level is to say, now, your thoughts are just physical, right? Not your mind, but your thoughts are physical, electrochemical signals on the neural pathway in your brain. So everything is made up of energy. Therefore, when you think about something, the physical manifestation, yes, you may have the skin coloration. Yes, you may have the saline liquid coming from your eyes, but you also have a physical manifestation at the energetic level.
Yeah.
It's just using sense number 6 rather than the 5 that you're used to. You hear words, you see facial expressions, but there is a physical manifestation at the energetic level. So once you as a coach can learn to tune into that, now you're just picking up more data.
Yes. And for me, when someone's crying, well, of course, I source this space for grace for that. It's okay. But then I celebrate it. So a lot of people would react to someone crying as they might reach out in sympathy, or they might just hold the space for that to be okay, or they might assign it to a problem. There's all kinds of different responses to it. I relate to crying as a surge has come up from within that's creating a breakthrough, and it comes out the eyes. And they might just say, oh, I'm sad. And I might say, oh, but that sadness is an expression of love or a desire for something, or a passion for something greater in the world, let's say, et cetera, or I'm missing someone. But that ability to celebrate and elevate any moment in experience is an energetic thing. Yes, I can use words, but it's not the words that make the difference. I could say, oh, that's great that you're having a breakthrough. That would make no difference. It's the energetics of the elevation of the experience from being experienced as let's say a sadness or an upset, or to a breakthrough. It's the same experience. It's the same stuff going on. But when you elevate it energetically, you kind of open the door for it to be something greater. And they move through that door beautifully. It's amazing to watch that happen with people.
And the nice thing is when they get the energetic level breakthroughs, as you said, and when you get the quantum stuff going on,
Yeah.
that seems to be, from my experience, a one-way street. You don't go back.
No, it's a breakthrough.
You have broken through something and you're now on the other side.
Yeah. It's almost like an epiphany is happening, but they don't know it. And many people on both sides of the coaching dynamic assign it to a problem or a challenge or an upset or an issue or block but I assign it to breakthrough. And if you assign it to breakthrough and then you open the door and you elevate it energetically, then that becomes an epiphany, a breakthrough insight for their life, and they walk through that door, and that's that.
Yes.
It becomes a I don't want to say permanent, but it becomes a real part of their living experience.
You have changed who you are as a being.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And that's part of that movement from person to person, field to field, being to being, you know, universe to universe, if we want to get really wild with it.
Yeah. Well,
but
it's
amazing.
It's all there and it's all connected. So
it's who we all are. And there's something so beautiful when we can do that. I wrote the book in 2003, Alchemical Coaching. And I would say now I'm working on what I would call quantum alchemy. That's the way I would frame that now, is that it uses the quantum field, the quantum ability to go into new possibilities, new innovation, new genius ideas, et cetera, to do things like that. So yeah. Exciting.
And the other thing I really like about this is you can learn to bring energy and work with energy at any level. You don't have to, in the mechanical hierarchies of coaching skills and credentials and so on. You can bring this in at any level.
Yeah.
You can be a beginner in the technical sense of coaching and learn how to do this.
Absolutely.
That's the power of it.
Yeah. I love that you call it the simplicity of mastery. That's your new master coach program, isn't it? And I love that term, because at these levels, it is simplistic. It is not complex. It is not fraught with theories and diagrams, and it is it's a skill that you learn that in the moment you allow yourself to go into something greater, and that something greater holds new possibilities, a great energy, higher vibrational frequency, brilliant breakthroughs, and it's a spontaneous dance that you and the person you're coaching, or you and the quantum, are experiencing in this dance. And in the moment, you know what to do. So it is almost a single skill rather than a complex series of things you have to learn to do.
Yes, that's the bit I like. So for our groups, I've done a lot of demonstrations, and they're constrained. It's like somebody I'd never met before, and we've got 30 minutes, and we never fail to get them to the breakthrough they need in that available time.
Yep.
And I get a lot of the coaches listening to them, because we kind of build them into the program, listening to them and going like, how did you know to ask that? How did you know to ask that? So I know nothing.
Yeah. Exactly.
You get out of your own head. You coach from you create a subconscious to subconscious connection with the person.
Yes. And what I would say is a superconscious to superconscious connection also. Yes.
I mean, and with that, when you are automatically connecting and moving energy with people at that level, then whatever comes from them, you just relax and open your mouth and it'll come out. Whatever your subconscious will tell you is what you need to do next. Say next.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a beautiful way to operate. It's just, I mean, wonderful on both sides of it, as a coach and as the person being coached. That's wonderful experience. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay.
Awesome.
That was great. Great to share about that. Started with energetic coaching, moved to quantum, moved to breakthroughs, et cetera, but fantastic.
Yeah. And it's all connected, right?
Yeah. Thanks for that.
It's all connected. Okay.
Thanks for listening,
Cheers.
everybody.
Okay.